Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll be talking to the founder of an innovative nonprofit that's out to eradicate food deserts. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So it's estimated that some 30 million Americans do not live close enough to a grocery store to eat well. And obviously you are what you eat, but if you're putting a bunch of processed foods into your body, it's affecting your mind, body, and spirit. To talk about that today, Bruce Carter, he's the founder of My Grocery Store Network. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I've been in Dallas now since '92, and it feels like there's been a lot of lip service to putting great grocery stores in southern Dallas. You're really out to change that narrative, aren't you?
Yes. I've had an office in the southern sector for about 20 years, and it hit me one day when I wanted to just go grab something. I couldn't do it. I either have to go downtown Dallas or go over into Duncanville, and that was just a healthy food option. But then when you travel throughout the district, you just didn't see a grocery store if you wanted fresh fruit to eat that day. So it became a problem, and I just believe that every problem has a solution if that's our goal.
And you're out to take a sledgehammer to this problem. I know how you are. But institutionally, this has gone on for decades and decades. How can you make a difference?
Well, one of the things is you have to understand the people you desire to serve. And so My Grocery Store, the network, breaks down what we have learned through research and trial and errors of what it will take to serve the demographic. So you just can't go put food on a shelf and think you've done something. And that may be why traditional grocery stores haven't lasted or don't come. So the network says we want to feed the whole body. So not only do we want to give you food and access, but we want to also help you change your mindset, not just how you eat, but also how you function in life. So we think that if there's ever going to be a solution for food deserts that's sustainable, that My Grocery Store is the model.
Mm-hmm. And when you go into a typical convenience store, you're hard pressed to find anything that is really healthy for you.
Yeah, I mean, remember, it was called a convenience for that very reasons. Go do something quick. And it doesn't have the capacity or the storage for the healthy food items that's there. So I don't blame convenience stores. I blame municipalities for not understanding the different constituents that live within the city and knowing how to serve them, because that's what it's about. It's about meeting the needs of all in your community, not just the group that's easy to deal with, but also that's why it's called hard to reach areas.
Yeah, and I urge you to follow Bruce and his network on social media, because he puts some amazing videos out there. We found one that we liked recently, Agriculture Can End Generations of Hopelessness. Let's roll that now.
It's important for us to be able to show the world that black men can get along. It don't look that way. But we gotta be able to deal with each other's men, hold us accountable, because we know it's all in love.
Listen, I'm glad to see what you're doing here today. It's a positive thing, and because this is a food desert over in this area, and people really need good produce.
Bruce is my mentor. I ask for you guys now, it's your company passing the torch.
Coach said you can't count where it's gonna end up. You just pour in with your heart, and you might be the one guy that saved that kid, man. That kid might get in a situation, and you might be the person that have to go talk him out of a bad situation. But you did that because, one, you earned the respect, the trust, and they know you love them. We have to show these kids that as men, we can disagree, and when we finish disagreeing, we going to get something to eat. And so as we start to learn the importance of relationships, me and you just didn't work in this. That don't mean that we may not work together down the road, but if we destroy, we burn the bridge, we can't get back together.
And I was impressed. We were talking before we went on that you grew up in rural Texas, so you know a little bit about agriculture.
Yeah, I grew up in Fairfield, Texas, Freestone County, and Freestone County has the largest number of black farmers in America. Wow. And so we did the gardening, we picked the berries, we milked the cows, we did all those things, but really didn't have an understanding of the importance of food because we always had access to food because our food was in a freezer, so we kept food. But when you come into an urban core, you hear the different people talk about, oh, kids are not eating, they're eating one time a day and all these different things. And we're going to solve it because we're going to give them food at school, but that doesn't take care of a weekend. It doesn't really take care of the dinners. That's a healthy dinner. So I guess for me, Jeff, you hear all these conversations, right? Yeah, this, but there's never a solution. So it's almost like if we solve this issue, we lose access to continual funding because the issue doesn't exist. And I believe that a lot of municipalities, elected officials, larger organizations, either they don't know how or they don't want to. And so this is just too important when you look at the level of crime, the level of poverty. We must figure out how one affects the other. What is the correlation between this group of people and that group of people not having access to this kind of food, not being able to understand the value of the food? What is that? And so that's what we've done with the network.
Yes, and you've captured the media's attention. We're going to show an article from NBC5. That's got to feel good that I know you mentioned that you were just in Forbes. And so to be a media darling and be able to educate people about the problem through the media has got to feel good.
I mean, it does. But, you know, if you stay around me long enough or you really listen to what I say, and what you showed on the media that was giving kids bikes, that was just a segue. Now that you have the bike, let's go ride the bike. Let's talk about how the bike can help you live a little longer, how you can be more flexible. Can we make the bike a relationship builder between not just the police, but between maybe you and one of your parents, where you can do something together? Stuff doesn't change our greater problems. So the bike was just that. It was an instrument. Now we need to build a relationship that's sustainable. So when I ask you, participate in this cooking program, let's see how many pounds we can lose. So if we say we want a 1 million pound challenge, we are talking about some of the weight, but we're also talking about those pounds of stress that you have on your life in that community. So we must be very intentional about solving some of these issues that affect us long term. You know, we talk about healthcare. Well, some of these issues that we're having to deal with later in life, we could have started through stopping or preventing through education early on. So there's a reason why you don't eat these foods on a regular basis. There's a reason why you don't do this. When we look in the urban cores, we talk about diabetes, hypertension, all these diseases that pretty much dominate African-American communities. And I say African-American communities because that's who a large part of your urban core are, even Hispanic now. You know, when you go to rural America, you have a different segment of individuals, but I can take you to the eastern hills of Western Kentucky or the Western hills in Eastern Tennessee, and you see the same issues. You know, you see people's teeth that's decaying because once again, they don't have access to food. So my job is to be in America and tackle these issues on a American-wide scale, not just this demographic, not just this area, but in America, if we are truly going to be patriots of this country, we must look beyond the color of skin, and we must look, you know, to that person that's my fellow American. And we need to start thinking in that perspective. And if we do that, we hold ourselves accountable for really uniting a country that's not united. So when you tell me the United States of America, you're a liar. So you hear me just saying America now. I don't even talk about the United States. But as an American who loves America, I believe I have a duty to do my part. And if everyone takes that perspective, we're going to see an America that one day can be potentially united.
Amen. Let's talk a little bit about the Advanced Community Fund, because I know you and I are both passionate about this. Tell us your relationship with the Advanced Community Fund.
Well, I was introduced to the fund as a potential partner and a vessel to be able to bring in banks who, one, just may want to do the right thing and participate because it's good for business, but then those banks that want to just meet their CRA credit requirements, but still in a good capacity. And so with the fund, I've had the ability to meet Michael, who's the CEO, founder, high energy guy, understands. And the synergy was there because he was already looking prior to meeting me to opening and being a part of 5 grocery stores within these communities that I'm already in. So it became almost like a natural fit for us to work together.
It seems like the winds of change are blowing in the right direction for you to be very successful right now.
I think they are. That even happened during this tour of your studios, right? So,
that's true.
Here's what I know. I know that if you wake up in the morning and your intentions are good and you have faith and then a little bit of favor, things are going to work out. There will be individuals that press against you, not because what you're doing is not good. It's because they may not want you to be the one to do the good, or your success makes them look bad when you don't even care about that. So when I wake up every morning, I care about 2 things, faith and favor. And man, I have an abundance of both of those. And that's why things work. I do the work. I go and I make the sacrifice to get the information, to do the research, to do the data. So when you talk to me about food deserts, it's not someone else's data. It's not someone else's research. It's primary data. It's being in these communities. It's engaging with the people you're going to serve. It's understanding their mindset. And how do I get them to buy in that this is so important that you treat this like a treasure in your community? So for us, my grocery store is an institution. It is an anchor institution in whatever community we put there, because beyond the food, we're going to help you build assets. And we often talk about the multiplier effect. I do. You've heard people talk about Black Wall Street, what it meant to Black communities back then. Well, not that the community I serve is just going to be Black, but that model worked because the dollar circulated within that community. So we have built a system where when a shopping partner who's a customer comes in and purchases something, their dollar would go around and around at least 5 times in that community. So they thrive. And I think that's what we have to get to. So there is a personal accountability, responsibility, but there is true progress.
Wow.
So,
Bruce, please, God bless your ministry and your mission, because you're really doing the Lord's work. We're going to end with a couple of websites. AdvanceNTX.org is the Advanced Community Fund, and then Bruce's website is mygrocerystorenetwork.org. Bruce Carter, thanks for coming on the show.
all right, thank you.
Bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.